Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Nelson with TUG, and we're so glad to have you join us today for our TUG Connects 365 programming. As you settle in and get ready for the start of today's webinar, let me give a brief introduction for TUG, the usergroup.org for both our current members and those of you who represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community of Infor distribution users. We've all heard that phrase that knowledge is power, and I can say with confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both. And today is but one of our many presentations in our TUG Connects 365 series. TUG webinars, online forums, and member events facilitate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with more confidence. That is a powerful combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get even more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one to help you be the best at what you do. Before we get started, let me touch base on some housekeeping information. Buckle up for about 40 minutes of content. We will hold Q&A until the end. You can feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A bubble. And also, as Dame Edna would say, talk amongst yourselves to see, any conversation that you have with peers while the presentation is going on, because that's sometimes where great content bubbles up to the surface. Also, you're in control of your view. So if you go to the upper right corner of your screen, as Grant is doing his presentation that's coming right up, you'll be able to select the view that is most conducive to your monitor. So without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Grant Howard, founder of Grant W. Howard Company, who's going to be sharing with us best practices of inventory management in challenging times, improving profits, and offering a stellar customer experience. Grant really needs no introduction, so I'm just going to say, Grant, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Gloria. Now, can you hear me, Gloria?
Can hear you just beautifully.
All right, perfect. And are you seeing my screen?
I'm not. I'll stop sharing and go ahead and you can grab it now.
Okay, I'm trying to grab it. You sure you let it go?
I did.
My share screen is not coming up.
Do you see your toolbar?
No, that's what I mean. It's not, and it's been here all morning when we practice.
It might be buried behind your screen if you're in full screen mode. If you want to take and push your mouse forward, it should reveal your Zoom icon. If you click on your Zoom icon, there you go.
Now are you seeing a screen?
It says that you've started, but I'm not seeing your slide presentation. Right now, I'm looking at your landing page of your AOL sign-in and your deck. So if you want to start the slideshow, still looking at your presenter view.
There we go. You tell me when it's caught up.
There we go. Go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Thank you, Gloria, for getting us set up here. Just to tell everyone what's going on, our internet, I live out in what Gloria calls God's country, and our school has now come back home again as of yesterday, so the internet is getting plowed, and we don't have a fiber optic line or anything. They're bringing it in 3 years for about $15,000 if we want to run it up to our house. So anyway, bear with us a little bit today on the internet connection. With that being said, today we're going to take a look at improving profits and offering a stellar customer experience. 2 weeks ago we got together and we looked at some components of how to get good fill rates and how to get good profitability. And again, this is around the inventory management world. We procure, we warehouse, we value add, and we sell. This applies to all of it, of course, but we're bringing it into the inventory management world. So today we're going to bring in how to offer that stellar customer experience and profitability. We're going to talk about company objectives just to set the stage, inventory management objectives, and the model, the when, what, and how much. Now, compared to 2 weeks ago, we're going to really bring in today how this model, this when, what, and how much comes right back to the fill rate, comes right back to the profitability and how it really ties in. Then we will go into the inventory management and replenishment, driving results, and, of course, how to build a strong foundation, understanding and utilizing and optimizing your system, and, of course, objectives and measurement. That's how you're going to drive the results that you're really looking for. Then we'll wrap up with a little summary about management by objectives and management by measurement. So management by objective, company objectives, and again, a lot of you have seen this, customer service, profitability. Let me just move, I got an icon in my way, perfect. What we do is we procure, we warehouse, sell, and again, there's growth in there, there's responsibility of the company, but the two we want to talk about is that customer experience. What keeps those customers coming back to you? What makes it so they're giving you the orders rather than someone else? What makes it so they're not looking for someone else to give their orders to, that they're giving them to you? And, of course, how do we maximize that profitability? On the customer experience side, they come to us for inventory. We do a lot of things today as distributors, but, again, our core basis is inventory. Inventory on the shelves when our customers need it. So do we have it available, or our fill rate? Can we get it to them on time? Can we get it to them accurately? If we do have an issue, is there a good issue resolution process? And, of course, at a fair price. Profitability, of course, we're trying to maximize our top line. Pricing optimization. The better we are at customer experience, the better we're not going to get our top line beat up, what we're trying to charge as our price. We're going to go out and do strategic sourcing. And, again, this is about improving our margin. Now, for today, we're going to get really in below that margin. What is eating up that margin before we get to the bottom line, and particularly around the replenishment system? But there's freight. We move inventory around. There's cost of transactions, in particular, in this case, POs, transfers, and if you're doing work orders, because, again, we're talking about what gets inventory available on your shelf ready for your customers. The cost of the assets, and in this case, the inventory, and, of course, errors, any mistakes we're making that we have to come back and fix and take care of, and there's other costs involved. So we're wrapping it around again. How do we use our our inventory management program and drive better profitability and customer experience? So again, we start at the top. I always start at the top with management. It's management's job to create balanced objectives, to create a team within our environment. This is management that's got their heads in the cloud. They're not putting out that vision, that clarity, that direction. They're the ones that are out there saying this month when they looked at the month-end report, or they're looking and go, wow, our fill rate's really hurting. Let's back up. Let's say that was 2 months ago with all the lead time issues. Wow, our fill rate's really hurting. We've got to get out there and get a better fill rate. So what do our people do? They go out and buy more inventory. The following month, they're going, wow, our inventory's really out of control. We've got way too much inventory. Tells them to stop buying. What happens to our fill rate? What we're talking about here is this balance. It is so important that upper management, middle management, departmental management, firing line management, whoever's setting the objectives, they're balanced. And in this example, we want to go out and increase our service level, our fill rate, but not increase inventory while we're doing it. That's the profitability and longevity in balance, and that is so critical. So there's now our executive team out there saying, hey, we're giving vision, clarity, and direction. We're giving these balanced objectives. When we talk about profitability, we better take a thought about customer experience. When we talk about customer experience, we better be thinking about its impact on profitability. Then, just to make sure we're not missing it, there's some other objectives within our organization besides profitability and longevity or our customer experience. Of course, employee happiness, the growth of our company, and the responsibility. We're talking economic, social, environmental, those type of things. In the absence of clearly defined objectives, we become strangely loyal to performing daily acts of trivia. I go into a lot of companies, and if we don't have clear objectives of what we're trying to accomplish, same thing with my kids going to school, if we don't have a clear objective, they're doing things. They're staying busy, but when we look at the results at the end, we don't meet our expectations because we didn't put those clear objectives out there, and we're letting everyone just do the trivial work. Inventory management and replenishment, customer experience and profitability, improving the results. So let's bring that down to our inventory management world. And again, from the customer experience side, fill rate. That is probably the number one thing that they're grading you on. Same thing you're grading your vendors on, especially today. You've got two things out there. Do they have inventory available, and when can they get it to me? We're all struggling with that right now with everything that's going on. So we've got to talk about fill rate. Now, I still put on-time delivery and accuracy, even though replenishment doesn't have oodles and lots to do with this. They still play a factor, but it's still part of our overall customer experience or that perfect order that we talk about. Then on the profitability side, as far as the inventory management, we're paying freight to bring inventory in. We're paying freight, whether it's external to us or internal, to move inventory around our company with transfers. We've got transactional costs, and in this case, a lot of people call it the R, or the cost to reorder, or the cost to replenish. And again, that is made up of all the factors to get that product from the vendor shelf to your shelf. You've got replenishment team. You've got to confirm the PO when you send it off, and after you've cut it, you might have to expedite the PO. You've got to receive it in. You've got to put it away. You've got to do the reconciliation. You've got to pay the invoice. That's all part of the transactional cost. Now, just a side note for a moment. We're going to talk about it in replenishment, but there's a cost of replenishment for transfers. There's a cost of order entry, put an order on for a customer, pick it, ship it, invoice it. All of that is our transactional costs, and we have forgotten about transactional costs. If you look at your gross margin and how much of it gets used for operational, it used to be around 50% if you go back 10 or 15 years ago. 70% of our dollars, our margin dollars or more, are used to touch and the cost per touch. Technology has helped lend itself to that because we think, oh, if we just go faster, we're doing more, we must be more profitable. Not true. If we're just touching it 10 times instead of 5 now and the cost per touch is the same, we're spending twice as much to do the same job. Today we will concentrate on the cost of purchasing around the replenishment world. And, of course, you have your assets or your turns, what we call our K cost, our cost to keep or our cost to carry. So in the profitability world, we're moving inventory around. We've got transactional cost of bringing the inventory in and getting it on the shelf. And, of course, we have cost once it's sitting on our shelf, the warehouse, the insurance, the taxes, the obsolescence, the interest rate on the money tied up there. Well, our goal is to minimize the total of that, not minimize freight, but spend more in cost to carry to do it. And what do I mean by that? Hey, Grant, we just beefed the PO up by $1,000 to hit freight. We got free freight, saved us $100, but it turns out the carrying cost on the extra inventory was $150. That's not where we want to be. So you're not minimizing any one of these three factors in alone. It has to be in total. So let's take this to the inventory management model. Now, last 2 weeks ago, we really concentrated on usage and lead time. We talked about the stocking list, and we talked about surplus inventory. Today, we're going to more look at this model of how we utilize it and what components are driving that fill rate and profitability. So, of course, we've got the order point, the usage during the lead time, and this is our fill rate. This is when the system notifies us that it's time to replenish, and the whole idea is when I place a PO or a transfer, I have enough inventory on the shelf to meet my branch and customer needs until it comes in. If I keep running out in between, it's not that I need to buy more, I need to buy sooner. When we buy, the order point is our fill rate. That is really the main player on are we going to have stockouts in between replenishment or not. Then, how much we're going to buy. This is its line point and its EOQ. Now it's time to buy. How much should we buy? And again, this is really what and how much. This is our freight. This is our cost to carry. This is our cost to purchase. This is when we're getting in and minimizing our total cost. We need it to replenish for service, for good fill rate, order point. Now, how much and what method should we do to bring in that replenishment at the least cost? And what do I mean the least cost? The least total, freight, cost to carry, cost to purchase. And then, of course, we have this surplus inventory, the things we don't need, and that's hurting both cost to carry and fill rate, or our profitability. Our profitability, we're sitting on inventory we don't need. It's tying up dollars, and we're paying 24 cents on the dollar to leave it on our shelf. It's hurting our fill rate because it's tying up dollars that we probably need for something else. Instead of micromanaging our A inventory and keeping it so lean and the safety so tight and that we're all running around to make sure we don't run out, get rid of some of the surplus and invest some of that back into the safety for the A item. So again, 2 weeks ago, for this to work, and remember, now at this spot, this goes both ways. How we use it goes back to where we just were. This dictates how we're going to do on our fill rate and our profitability, our freight, our cost to carry, and our cost to purchase. Then it's got to work right. So now we're going forward into the detail. Do we have a good stocking list? We talked about it 2 weeks ago, because this only applies to your stocking items. What should we have on the shelf? It doesn't have a magic that says, oh, they keep this as a non-stock, but I'll still tell them to buy when they're down to 10 units because we know it's going to take some time to come in. System thinks it's a non-stock. It's going to tell you to buy when there's a commitment to it. So your stocking list, your usage and your lead time, especially lately over the last 6, 7 months, especially the last 3, both of those have been swinging all over the place for many of you. And, of course, working the surplus dollars. But again, in today's world, what we want to do is change this up a little bit and bring you to a different point of this. understanding buying, just cutting POs and cutting transfers, versus managing inventory and replenishment to drive the desired results. It's two different things. I can have something go below order point today. I can cut the PO, and I can get it here. So I kept my service level intact, but I might have done it wrong. Did I do a line buy? Did I do an emergency buy? Should I have done a transfer? What was the right way to replenish that today to help minimize the cost, i.e., maximize my bottom line profitability? That's the key, how we use this. So again, the first part that I always talk about, whether we're talking about, procurement, we're talking about the warehouse side of the business, we're talking about the value add, we're talking about the sales side of it, putting inventory out. A strong foundation, and many of you have heard me talk about this before, accuracy, consistency, and efficiency. Look at your replenishment department. Look at your warehouse. Look at your sales side. Look at your operation as a whole. Is it consistent? Do you get the same results every day? Is it accurate, or are we making a lot of mistakes and we're just really good firefighters and putting them out before the customer realizes some of them? And are we efficient? Are we sitting there? Yeah, Grant, we have a great accuracy to our customers. We pick it, we take it to the shipper, they dump it out, and they recount it. And then we dump it out and recount it one more time just to make sure. Your accuracy is great, but we touched it 3 times. The efficiency is not good. A structure cannot stand without a solid foundation. So for today, around your replenishment department and this order point, line point, how they're utilizing it, how they're using your buyer's control center, do you have a good, strong foundation in place? There's 3 parts to it. We want consistency first. That's the key. To get consistency, you have to standardize. That's how you get consistency, and I call that PET, P-E-T. Do you have good formalized processes, standard operating processes and procedures? Do you have a good education program to get those procedures out to your people, or do you send it to them in an email as a file, assume they read it, assume they got it right, and now they're out there doing it? And did we give them the toolbox, the right tools, the right technology? Are we utilizing our technology right? Are you giving them the PET? This is the start to a strong foundation, processes, education, technology. Then we have to stabilize it, the accuracy that we call it. There's going to be mistakes in there. We're out there in the replenishment world, in the warehouse, in the sales. We put orders on sometimes. In the warehouse, we pick orders wrong or put them in the wrong place. In purchasing, we're putting the wrong price on things sometimes. This all costs us money to come back and take care of it after the fact, to fix it in a reactive mode. So what we want there is our accuracy to stabilize the system. And this is a TQM, Total Quality Management Program, in some form or fashion. And TQM, in its simplest fashion, says we're going to capture when we make mistakes. Now, a lot of these you're capturing. Let's use customer credits for a minute. Well, you capture every time there's a credit to your customers. POs, if there's something wrong with the reconciliation, you're capturing it. And, oh, the vendor shipped wrong. Oh, we received it wrong. The vendor priced it wrong. We priced it wrong. Now, we're capturing all that. That's not a total quality management program. That's capturing errors. And if we stop there, we continue to make the same errors. There's something wrong in our PET. What do we have to do? Come back to our TQM program, accumulate and prioritize which errors are we making the most often. Boy, we have a lot of pricing errors on our POs going out to the vendors, causing us reconciliation problems, Grant. Then there's something wrong with how we're keeping pricing updated on our system. There's something wrong with the PET, the process, the education, or the tools. The TQM program will keep it accurate, will stabilize it. And then, of course, the efficiency. Are we doing it efficient? We want to optimize the system. And all things to think about, that's called lean. Just how do we run it lean? And here's the simplest way to think about lean. Lean says, how many times do we touch it? What's the cost per touch? And how many errors do we make? If we can reduce the touches but not increase the cost per touch, our operating cost is going to go down. If we can keep the touches the same, reduce the cost per touch, our operating cost is going to go down. If we can reduce the errors and not have to go back and redo them, refix something, our operating cost is going to go down. So again, ACE, accuracy, consistency, and efficiency. PET, TQM, and lean. We should wrap this around procurement, warehouse, value add, and our sales department. And this BA, I've got all the initials. You guys, a lot of you have seen me. I love to put acronyms out there. Build a process to manage and manage the process. That's what we're talking about. I go into a lot of organizations, and I go in there and go, what is your process for lost sales? What is your process for a pricing discrepancy? What is your process to make sure we have the right dates for on our POs and that our order entry people are reading the right date and saying, oh, that's the date it's supposed to come in? Is that the date the vendor's supposed to ship it? Is that a confirmed date, not a confirmed date? What are they supposed to tell the customers when we're given this information? Build a process to manage and then manage the process. That's good PET, TQM, and lean. You've got to bring into that the understanding. Do your people understand what they're trying to accomplish? Are they utilizing the system right, and are we out there optimizing what we're doing? And again, a structure cannot stand without a solid foundation. Now, today, we're talking about how to go out and increase, improve your stellar customer service, so to give them a stellar customer experience and improve profitability while we do it. All right? A lot of us can go out and go, oh, you want better service? Give me $1 million for inventory, Grant, and a bunch of inventories on the shelf. We get better service, but our profits go down. Oh, you want better turns, Grant? Quit buying. Our turns have gone up, but our customer experience is going down. Go out and put this in, and this is the start to it. Anything we're trying to improve, if you don't have a good foundation in place, it's going to be very hard to do the next steps. Now, let's dive into the actual purchasing model. What are the things there? So now we're in the buyer's world. We're using the order point, the line point, the EOQ. We're using the buyer's control center. It's telling us when to bring inventory in. We're cutting POs. We're cutting transfers. We're working surplus inventory. We're doing the job. And again, a few of these we've already talked about. I always like to talk about 5 of these. 5 for customer experience, 5 for the profitability. And again, that's minimizing the freight, cost of carry, and cost of purchase. So the stocking list first. On the customer experience, are we stocking the right things so that we have the things our customers want, and are we not stocking a lot of things that we don't need because that's tying up dollars or affecting the profitability side? So your stocking list affects both sides, whether you to stock it or not. Then the numbers. Now, we've touched into this 2 weeks ago. This is the order point, the line point, the EOQ. That's the foundation to your replenishment system. If those aren't working right, it's not giving your buyers, your replenishment people, the right information. So again, have we fed it the correct data and parameters? And if you look on the left, customer experience, and you look on the right, profitability, you're going, Grant made a mistake. He must have did a cut and paste. These are the same. No, I didn't do a mistake. That is the idea here. It's the same thing. I have to have good usage, and if usage is low compared to reality, I'm going to have service issues. If usage is high compared to reality, I'm going to have profitability issues. Then we've got our lead time safety and our adjusters on the service level. Over on the profitability side, is our order cycle right? How often we're going to replenish? Are our EOQ parameters correct? That order cycle and EOQ, those are the 2 components that help us minimize freight, cost of carry, and cost of purchase as a total. And then, of course, order quantity. In the end, what did we place on our PO? That's the line point, EOQ, and rounding coming together. Then, of course, number 3, is our purchase net available accurate? If you have a great order point, line point, and EOQ, and purchase not available, your on hand minus committed plus your incoming. If it's inaccurate, our on hands are bad, Grant. I can't do good replenishment. Grant, we have a bunch of bogus incoming POs and transfers. Well, how old are they? Whenever we converted the system last time 10 years ago. And again, I'm being a little sarcastic, but for some of us, not. I go into companies and find 5, 10, 15-year-old POs, transfers, and POs and orders. That's affecting your purchase not available, and it's not working right. Do you have a PET wrapped around your on hand, your open committed, your open POs, and your open transfers? And if you're doing any type of work orders, your open work orders. Of course, proactive maintenance. Now, there's 2 parts to that. Proactive maintenance while we're doing the purchasing, and proactive maintenance from our exception control center. The whole idea here is if something's gone astray, let's fix it before it causes a mistake to the customer or a mistake to our bottom line. Let's be proactive about it. The third thing, and I'm going to dive into this deeper on the next slide, this is replenishment. And this is when it comes back to the 2 sides. How do we get good fill rate? We need to replenish when we're down to the point that we have enough stock available on the shelf that will meet our customer and branch needs until the next arrival. On the replenishment side, how much are we going to replenish? Because remember, This is helping us minimize freight, cost to carry, cost to purchase. We're trying to buy enough to make freight minimums. At the same time, we're trying to buy as little as possible to keep our cost to carry down. Transactional cost is falling in between that. The more we buy, transactionally, we're eating up our bottom line. The less we buy, we're doing good there, but we might have to pay freight or cost to carry. So we're combining all three of those. And in a minute, we've got to bring it down to the people pushing the buttons, working the system, working the inventory, i.e. your inventory managers and replenishment people. Inventory reduction, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Surplus, are we working surplus? Are we working our order cycle right? Do we have the EOQ set properly in safety? Again, left and right side here, customer experience and profitability, same things depending on which way it's astray. And again, are we working our committed inventory? Are we checking our unavailable inventory, make sure getting it back to the vendor? Are we using futures if we're a company that takes orders today that may not go out for 6 months so that we're not tying up today's inventory and we're not forgetting to order it in 1 month when it's time to bring it in? Excuse me one sec. Thank you. So now, the last part of this, optimizing. Now, proactive maintenance measurement, we've talked about that. Are we logging lost sales? That's how you get good usage. Are we looking at fill rate analysis? Now, what this is where we're looking back and saying, over the last 12 months, where did we stock out more than 3 times? Today when I'm doing the buying and I'm checking my emails, I'm getting the stock outs from yesterday. Believe me, we know that. But what we're looking for is I can't often fix one-time stock outs. They may never happen again. They're what we call one-offs. But now if I look back over the last 6 or 12 months, for any items that have 3, 4, 5 stockouts on the same item, there's often a pattern. This is a very, very powerful tool to come back. Now, look where it's at, number 5. You have to get the other things in place. Otherwise, you're just chasing, and it's going to say, you're going to say, I had 5 stockouts. And what's going to happen? We don't have a good pet in place, foundation. Quit working it and go put your foundation in place. I found 5 times we stocked out. And it's number 1 through 4 above. We don't have a stocking item. The usage is wrong. We're not replenishing when it goes below order point because we're waiting to make freight. Our inventory reduction, we have so much in surplus I wanted to buy, but the executive management said, put buying on hold. We're up against our credit limit. So we're doing those first, the foundation in 1 through 4. But now it's time to optimize. Fill rate analysis, a very, very strong tool, looking for patterns. And, of course, safety analysis. And that's coming back again over time, over multiple receipts, saying if we received it 5 times and we've never touched in the safety, we always have enough stock on the shelf and lots of it. Every time we do a receiving, the last 3, 4, 5 times, maybe I can lower my safety stock. On the right side, my profitability side, optimizing, of course, proactive maintenance and measurement, which we're going to talk about because measurement is so important. But now, are we lowering the total freight, cost to carry, cost to purchase? Do we understand how to run the system to do that and come back and do some analysis? Are we using turn and earn or GMROI, gross margin return on inventory? Are we doing order cycle analysis? And what that says is there's a target out there for $10,000. Order cycle analysis will come back and say, with our buying power, how long will it take us to sell off enough to queue up a $10,000 freight minimum PO? If I can sell it off every month and cut a PO every month, I should be going for that freight minimum. If it's going to take me 10 months to do a $10,000 PO and I'm going to buy 10 months at a time, order cycle analysis is going to come back and say, you're probably better off paying the freight because to sit on 10 months' worth of inventory, the cost to carry will be greater than the freight. Now, there's other things. Can we negotiate? Should we do some central warehousing and central distribution? But that is order cycle analysis. Freight or your vendor's targets versus your buying power. Then there's cost to carry and cost to purchase analysis. Are we setting our EOQ up properly? Cost to carry says how much does it really cost for us to put inventory on the shelf and leave it there? Cost to purchase is how much does it really cost for our buying team, our receiving team, our put-away team, our AP and reconciliation and whoever's cutting the checks, making the payments, doing the e-commerce payments. How much is that really costing us and how much per line? The cost so again, do I really know our cost to carry? Do I really know our cost to purchase? So therefore, EOQ is working properly. And of course, again, safety analysis. Now, this would just be the opposite of where we were. This is coming back and saying, I'm looking at receipts over time, and I'm looking at the last 3 or 4 or 5 receipts, and every time it comes in, we're almost out or we were out. we were utilizing all of the safety, and sometimes we even had some stockouts. It was an important on that item. So if you notice, the left and the right are very similar. It's which way they've gone astray. Have they gone astray that they're going to cause customer experience and stockout issues and not having the right inventory on the shelf when our branches and customers need it? Or the opposite side of, hey, we're going to transactionally kill ourselves because we're fighting so many fires. We're putting so much inventory on the shelf that our cost to carry is hurting us. Or we're watching freight and turns so much that we're spending way too much in freight because we're not willing to cut a month PO to get freight. Those are the things. So again, where have we been so far today? We've talked about the foundation. We've talked about the buyer's world. And what I want to do now is really push into this number 3. Worthy items below order point daily and replenish to line point and EOQ. Because when we cut that PO, when we cut that transfer, that is inventory management. We're doing it at the right time, for the right quantities, for the right products. Any time after that, it is inventory correction. So we're now talking about when we're actually placing those POs and transfers. So let's first talk about the when. An item goes below order point. Now remember, this is our fill rate. If an item goes below order point, and it's correct, the order point's correct, usage, lead time, and safety, and we don't replenish, we have to tell ourselves we are willing to take a stock out, because that's what order point is telling you, if it's correct. If you don't replenish at order point, we are going to take a stock out. Gloria?
Yes, sir.
I lost you guys for a minute.
Nope, you're all good. I've heard every word you've said.
Well, how about, and now is the slide back?
I'm not sure what happened on your side. I don't see your PowerPoint. If you want to just share your screen again.
Yeah. Are you seeing my picture up?
I see you in full speaker mode. So we just need to grab your toolbar like we did last time. If you want to push your mouse.
It's not letting me. Hang on one sec. Still not letting me. There we go. Okay. Now you should be seeing presenter mode.
I'm waiting for, yeah, we're in your slide deck. We just need to see it in viewer mode.
Yep.
Sorry about that, Grant. But
no, that wasn't, it was on this end. I saw it. The picture's cut out, and then it said reconnecting, so I knew. Now, you should see my slide deck and the first bullet point, when. Item below order point. Is that correct?
I see when, and then you've got two subtext directly below
Perfect.
that.
Okay.
Sorry about
Back
that.
rolling again, you guys.
Thanks.
We're going to make a movie. They're going to talk about the year 2020. All right. So again, when an item goes below order point, that's the point that says we need to replenish for fill rate. Now, if we're in a target or cycle world, and I talk about this, well, Grant, we don't replenish till we hit vendor target. Or Grant, that's got a 2-week order cycle on it, and we're only a week into it, so it's not time to replenish. And we don't even watch for those. We only look for when the 2-week time period is up, then we say what PO should we place. Or when we hit the $10,000 target, then we look at what we should place. That's an old move from way back. There was a reason for it, everyone. Gloria?
Yes.
You just got lost again.
I don't know why you're not hearing me or seeing me. I'm
hearing you. I can tell that my connection got lost.
Oh, well, I'm hearing everything that you're saying.
So I'm going to have you, I believe, pull up the deck.
I'm seeing your deck perfectly fine.
Yeah, but it's not going to move. We are disconnected. Let me just see. Now I've painted the whole deck. That picture, that slide should be filled in completely now.
Yep.
It is?
Yep.
Now that one reconnect. My picture went away. Okay, you stop me if it's not moving. So anyway, we'll keep rolling here. So again, if you're a target or cycle buying, remember, things could go below order point in between filling up to that target or in between that cycle, and you're going to have a stock out. So where I push companies today and bring back is when a worthy item goes below order point, that's an A item, a B item, a never out of stock or new. So it might be a new item, might be a contract, whatever you consider a worthy item. That has to be coming up in front of your people every day, not when we hit a cycle, not when we hit a target. Now, that doesn't mean they need to buy. It means they need to make a decision what they want to do, all right? Then, if they say it's time to buy, this is where it's coming together. I've decided I have to replenish today for service. What's their secondary job? How do I minimize the cost? How do I put as much to the bottom line? How do I minimize the freight, cost to carry, and cost of purchase? That's your line point, EOQ, and the best method. So again, if an item goes below order point today and I need to replenish, I need to say, what's the best way? Now, something else I just want to talk about here. A lot of us are ready to do the replenishment. I've got to say, why should it have been below order point? Now, if it's been about 2 weeks into an order cycle, okay, on a 2-week order cycle or 10 days into it, I'm going, yeah, things would start going below order point. But if I'm only 2 days into a 10-day order cycle, which means 2 days ago I replenished everything, I may have even replenished this item, and here it is below order point. If I just cut the PO again today or the transfer, there's a good chance in 2 days on a 10-day cycle this item's showing up again. So I have to stop here and say, why did it go below order point before I expect it? And you're going to find 2 main reasons. There was some type of spike. There was a customer spike, a branch spike, a stock adjustment we didn't expect. Now, most of those we're going to call a one-off, meaning we couldn't predict that. It is what it is, so let's get the replenishment going. One of them, though, if we're in one of those companies where branch transfers don't have good pet around them and all the branches are taking inventory from each other and there's no control wrapped around that, we call that uncontrolled replenishment. And some of that could be addressed because I'd come back and say, well, why didn't that branch have the right inventory to start with that just cut the transfer and stole all our inventory? So I'm over there now looking at their branch. Why did they hit this critical point and take my inventory? So again, there could be a spike in your P&A, an on-hand shift again. So there's a commitment that could have gone on. It could have been a transfer that went on or a stock adjustment, and you're looking for, are those preventable or not? The other thing, and this is what we're seeing a lot of right now, our usage is not correct or our lead time is not correct. What do I mean by that? Okay, so this item went below order point 2 days into a 10-day cycle. I didn't expect to see it for 10 days until 10 days from now. And I start looking at it, digging in, and here's what's going on. The usage says 1,000. I'm going to sell 1,000 a month, but when I get looking, it turns out I haven't been real vigilant about working my trending, and right now a lot of usages are going up, and it's a seasonal item. It was trying to trend 300%. It was telling me in my exception report, but we have our maximum trend parameter set at 150. So it calculated 1,000, and it actually wanted to be about 1,500 usage for our main warehouse. So there was part of it. Then I get looking, and I have 2 branches that keep pulling from me, and they're set up as distributive. They're supposed to get their product straight from the vendor. Turns out they're supposed to be an RV, and they are supposed to get their product from the central warehouse, but we haven't told the system that. They each sell about 500 a month. That is where our problem was. So the point out of all of this is if you have an item go below order point before expected, yes, we'll probably do the replenishment depending how worthy it is. But before you replenish it, why did it go below order point? Was it a P&A spike of some change? Is it something we could have addressed? Is it something wrong with my usage, my lead time, my parameters, or my data? If I don't fix it now, I'm getting ready to cut that PO, and it's going to be a bad PO again. So here we go.
Grant, I just wanted to let you know, you asked me to jump in and let you know when you were at about the 40-minute mark, and you are there.
Perfect. Thank you, Gloria. So here we go, everyone. What do we need to do when we get there? All right, so now with a worthy item below order point, and I've decided it's time to replenish, and I'm going to do it at the lowest cost. My options are, I'm going to do a line buy. I'm going to get freight and pay cost to carry. I might increase this to get target. I might do an emergency buy, just bring this item in. I could do a transfer. I could get it from an alternate source. I could wait or ask the customer to pay freight. The reason I'm bringing this up today is I go into so many organizations, and an item goes below order point. What do? Oh, it's important. I'm only at $200 out of 1,000. Grant, don't worry, not an issue. We got this cool little tool, increase, decrease. They go and drive it up, and they hit target. That didn't maximize our bottom line, everyone. We don't have good PET wrapped around this in many of our companies. Come back and put PET, lean, TQM around the actual buyer's position of when does an item go below order point? What do we need to do? Is it worthy? What is the best way to replenish it? Make sure we're doing the proactive maintenance that made it go astray. And let's bring home now the measurement side, because what I'm talking about today is 3 things. Having a good foundation in place, the actual job, having the good PET, TQM, and lean and procedures wrapped around how we do things and what's the best method for service level and for that maximizing the bottom line, the profitability. And now the 3rd thing, when we measure, None of us would send our children to school without getting a report card. That's what measurement does. It allows us to see where we're at, allows us to know where we need to go address things, allows us to know where we're on target. Measurement. No measurement. I go into companies that don't do measurement. I'm working with one right now, and I just sent them an email back. It's been a year, and there's no metrics in place. I go, we're lost. We're running blind. We don't know where we're at. We measure to measure. That's a company I've gone in. I've got one over on the west side of Michigan that's doing this. I ask them about a metric, and everyone holds up their smartphone, their tablet, brings me a report, whatever it is. They're measuring a bazillion things, but not doing anything with it. They're lost and confused. PMO, excuse me 1 minute, a piss me off measurement is what that stands for. So what that says is we've got some decent reports coming out, Grant. It's telling us our fill rate needs improvement. It's telling us we're spending too much on freight, or we have too much surplus inventory, or we're cutting too many POs. The piss me off part is about we have no procedure, no method to change it. We haven't come back and said, well, how do we address this issue? Or management isn't supporting it. So every day when that report comes out, since we can't change it, it's getting us upset. All right? Where do we need to be? Management by measurement. Management by objective. What's the objectives we're trying to obtain? And are we measuring against them? Management by transaction. We've got to go down and look where we're making errors. Fill rate analysis. Show us where we've stocked out of the same item 3 times at least this year. And good management by exception. Tell us when our trending is at 300%. By the way, everyone, it does. And we only allowed it to do 150, and it's causing our usage to be too low. We're not working, and it's causing stockouts. Good measurement's going to look at performance. What's our sales? What's our margin? What's our turns? It's going to find the improvement and make sure we're getting that improvement. It's going to measure the improvement, and it's going to find the opportunities and help us drive the results. It gives us visibility across the entire organization. It's the seamless flow of data, information, and the communication that so many of you need today. And it's that bridge between upper management and the firing line, that connector from the top to the bottom, bottom, top, end to end. This is what connects me to my children at school, their report card. And it's not when the semester's done and I look at what we did. It's during, as we're going, to make sure we're on track to hit the goals and objectives when the time comes. It's a measurement and a tool to drive results rather than a report card to review results. Time, accuracy, lost sales, that's for customer experience. For the profitability, we have to measure our freight, inbound, internal, and outbound. Our transactional counts, cost, and errors. How many POs are we placing and how many lines per PO? Just so everyone knows, we placed about 4 or 5 times more lines on our POs 10 years ago than we do today. We're doing 4 or 5 times more receivings, more invoices than we did 10 to 15 years ago. Why? Technology. Why? Because we can do it. I can tell you, for most of you, it's eating up your bottom line. You need to measure and improve. And we need to be measuring our inventory, our asset, our turns, our turn and our surplus, our inventory mix. And, of course, employee happiness, customer report cards, vendor report cards, those all help to improve our customer experience and our profitability. So we're measuring and we're improving. So some of you look like this. We can get lots of reports out of our system. And if this is the best we can get today, if I still have to go to the mailbox and get a report card mailed from my teacher 4 days after the semester closes, so be it. I'm still going to go to the mailbox and look at the results. All right, so I can look this way. Or in a lot of companies, we've taken that and brought it back to an Excel spreadsheet so we can see it month after month, where we're at. We have goals on it. If you look on the right side, we have actuals from the previous year. We've got where we're standing right now. And again, we can go out and look what we're actually doing, all right, and whether we're making progress towards the goal and what we need to change or if something's gone astray. And what I want to do here is just pull this in and pull it up a little bit. It's going to take a minute for your screen to paint, but all I did was expand it. And this is a good way to come back, and you can say, Grant didn't put a lot out what to measure. Yeah, it is. It's right here. Measure your fill rate. Measure your on time. Measure your accuracy. Come down here, your inventory valuation, your inventory monthly goal, your surplus, your percentage surplus of your total inventory, how much surplus you're getting rid of. If you do not have a goal around surplus disposition, you're not getting rid of the surplus that you want to. What's our turns, our turn and earn, our pickup, our on-hand accuracy? I can come back and look at these. this morning was scheduled. I had to change it to Thursday. It was a little change in today. Our school got closed down today for COVID. We're back in the in-house. So, again, today's been a busy morning. But I still get with a lot of companies, this particular company, once a quarter, every 3 months, and this is our discussion right here. This is the manager's meeting. This is measurement tells us whether we're making it, what we need to change, how we need to go out and approach the world differently to hit our expectations, or sometimes we have to change our expectations. Many of you, up through March, had a certain expectation through this year, and if you still have that expectation intact at this point for everything that went on, it probably won't get met. We sometimes have to change those expectations. So again, what I'm doing is flipping back, but this is off our system as it comes off today. This is usable if this is what you've got. You want it to be more streamlined and efficient, bring all that together to one place and use it as a monthly dashboard. There are plenty of dashboards out there. This one happens to be Ernest & Associates. It's a BI, Business Intelligence. It can do all this for you. Get the data and bring it in. And again, just to put it up a little deeper, it's got my income information, income statement. It's got my customer information, all the things we just talked about, fill rates, on-time accuracy. Over here on, and again, this is just because the screen was too wide, we've got our receivables. And, of course, we've got our inventory, surplus, dollars, turn and earn. We can see the monthly. We can see the goals. We can see the previous year. We can see where we're at in operation. And what we're really talking about here is our transactional counts, everyone. If you don't have a good measurement tool in place, if you don't have good objectives set for your company, you're out fighting fires and chasing things trivially. Okay? It measures performance improvement and opportunities. It takes you on a guided fishing trip to where your opportunities are. If there is no measurement, then it is all hearsay. Data-free conversations and decisions will cause lots of frustration, cost lots of money, and result in lots of disappointment. If you're not out measuring, you can't get the results you're looking for. Without measurement, you do not know where you're at, where you're going, or when you will get there. Let's bring it home, everyone. All right, management by objective. You have to have good objectives in place. Then you have the execution in between, all the things we do to hit those objectives, and then we have the measurement. Are we hitting it? No different than the way we run our house, the way we run our children and their report cards in school, the way we do many, many, many things in life. If you want to retire, same thing. What's our objective? The execution is the saving, trying to put in savings, invest it properly. There's things, and then are we measuring it? Otherwise, you might get a surprise when you're 63 or 70 or whenever that retirement is planned. So again, a lot of acronyms to wrap up this last slide. They're all along the bottom, everyone. The first thing that we talked about today is good, balanced objectives. Let's go out and improve customer experience, but don't drive inventory up while we're doing it. Let's go out and increase our turns, i.e. bring inventory down, but let's not adversely affect customer experience while we do it. That's a balance in understanding the relationship between customer experience and profitability, and we have to know how to drive the results to change that customer experience and profitability. Management by objective. Execution. So now we're doing the work. Remember, procure, warehouse, sell, value add. Today we're talking about purchasing, replenishment, inventory management. Do we have accuracy, consistency, and efficiency in our organization? Do we practice execution excellence? All right, and again, this is your foundation. Do you have PET, TQM, lean in place? Build a process to manage and manage the process. Day's work in a day's time. And, of course, do it right the first time. Do we understand how the safety order point, line point, EOQ, and surplus point all really work and their components? The stocking list, the usage, the lead time, the safety, the order cycles, the targets, the cost to carry, cost to replenish, the fences, and the parameters and data. If your replenishment team doesn't understand what I just put up there, we cannot drive that customer service and profitability to where it could be. Are we utilizing the system properly? Do we have good standard operating procedures and policies? PET, around it. Hey, when do we replenish? Don't replenish till you hit target. I'm okay with that if that's your objective, understanding our service level will probably suffer. Only buy every 2 weeks. Our receivers can't take it. I'm okay with that, but if stuff goes below order point in between, you are going to stock out, or someone's going to tell you, now you're going to spend premium freight. You're not winning that game. Do we have it set up to say, look at where the item's below order point? What is the best way to buy today? You're $1 into a $1,000 target versus $999 into a $1,000 target. Are you working the surplus, the proactive maintenance, and are we utilizing measurement? And then we want to optimize. That fill rate analysis we talked about, looking at fill rate stockouts over time, not just one-offs from yesterday. Looking at our freight spend analysis. Would it be better to go for freight? For some of those, you'd be better off not paying freight and bring in more inventory or renegotiating it. Doing better central warehousing and distribution. Are we using turn and earn or GMROI, turns and margin together? That's a true return on inventory investment analysis. Are we looking at our transactional costing? How many POs and transfers are we cutting? How many lines? How often are we doing it? Are we looking at our safety analysis? Every time it comes in, we have way too much inventory. We can bring our safety down. Every time it comes in, we're at the line or out. We need more safety. Do we have usage and lead time forecast accuracy? Are we looking at our order cycle analysis? And are we do have a strong cost to carry and cost to purchase? Now, again, these are in an order on purpose because human natures, they see optimize. And what do they want to do? Jump to that line. You cannot optimize something you haven't stabilized. You cannot stabilize something you haven't standardized. You have to standardize it first. Good pet. You have to stabilize it. Good TQM and how we do it. Then you can start optimizing. And then we talked about measurement, performance, improvement, opportunities, measurement, management by measurement. So again, a good foundation, a good how we do the job, and good measurement wrapped around it to know where we can go find improvement, where we have opportunities, where we're missing it, and of course, where we're doing a great job. A little bit, just wrap up here. There's a little bit about myself, of course. I'm not going to read that to you today. Gloria has shared enough. But what I want to share with you today is, and we mentioned it last time, this wasn't in the mix a month and a half ago, but we've had so many emails and phone calls, people saying, Grant, are you going to go out and do some type of workshop this year? We didn't make the May workshop. It was canceled. So, again, December 8th and 9th, it's a virtual event. There's some information below. TUG has sent out information. Infor has sent out information. I've sent out information. If you don't get it, email one of us. We'll send you the information. It's not the same as our 3-day that we do in the spring. The first day we're going to really go through the understanding, and the second day we're going to dive into a lot of these things we talked about today. Our cost and carry, cost of purchase a little bit deeper, order cycle analysis, to really bring home, and are we utilizing the system right? We want that, but are we optimizing the system? Gloria, with that, I will wrap it up and say a big thank you. I can't hear you, Gloria.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Thanks for that. Can I ask you to come back on for Q&A with your camera?
I'm on.
All righty. First question comes from Larry Ford. And also, by the way, props and kudos to our online audience because they learned how to upvote. If you like a question that's posed in the Q&A bank, it will populate that and bring it up in priority. So kudos to all of our tuggers here that are online today. The first question is, most ERP systems lump product usage into monthly periods and use those periods to calculate the products line and order point. What is the benefit of using that monthly usage opposed to using the real daily usage? For example, a 6-month history compared to the last 180 days of history.
There's, again, where this came from is history and time. And I think it was Larry, if I'm correct. Larry, so what's going on is we've actually switched quite a few systems to daily, or if they were a monthly bucketed system that you're talking about, we've, in a sense, converted them. It's a lot of work to get inside the core part and switch it to a daily. But where this came from, just so you know, got to go back to when a lot of the ERPs was written. Our processor speed, our RAM speed, it couldn't get through and do this every night, so we were stuck with a monthly, 1 month a year we could, or 1 weekend a month we could go do this. Now, it causes that ratcheting issue, which we're aware of. As you come into month end, and now you come after you forecast, there's a bunch of stuff the next day it wants to buy because of this monthly ratchet. And if you saw the flip side of that, there's a bunch of things we bought yesterday that wouldn't have shown up on the PO today. So just to bring this together, fax is an example. There we implement it so it actually takes that monthly, converts it back to a daily, so we're doing a true daily. And here's the part you're looking for, 2 parts. That ratchet, when we take a whole month away and bring a whole month in, That you're trying to eliminate, and again, our ERPs need a little help there. And again, I don't know what system, but these are the things, the information you need to get back to Infor and say, this is a top priority in our enhancement request system, and get with the group, say, we want a daily system to get rid of the monthly ratchet, but also there's a second reason. It's the 28th of the month. The month doesn't close for 2 days. We've got almost a whole month's worth of data we're not utilizing. I want yesterday's data to come into today. So really, just to bring it together, it's not because it's best practices. It was at a time. It was because our technology did not lend itself, which today it does, and you should be pushing for a daily bucketed system. Gloria, next one.
I'm going to combine this because I think that they might be a 1-2 punch. Amanda Canning and Joel Maddox have asked two different questions. Amanda says, where did the measurement dashboard come from to pull the data together? And Joel asks, where do we find the data to populate the dashboard? So can you answer those two together?
Yes. There's two parts. Now, again, without knowing the system, all of these systems, first of all, and there's three parts that we're talking about. You just have to know your system and say, where's the menu for the fill rate report, the program? Where's the turns report? Where's the turn and earn report? Where's the freight spend report? Now, not all of these. Freight's one that's been mostly at the GL for many, many years. Again, our technology, and it wasn't our technology, this was us. We didn't take the time to break freight down by PO. But where I'm going with that is somewhere on your system are the reports. They've been there forever. And again, if you're SX, I'll just give you if you're SX, ICRIF, that's your fill rate report. Surplus, ICRIS. So again, if you're A+, there's a report center. I'm not exactly sure, but I saw a lot of them last week with the company that I was talking with. We saw a lot of their numbers. And, of course, Fax has it. So that's the first one. They're on there. The second one that was asked, where did all that information? There was two ways, Amanda. We were taking the reports, and I missed slightly if it was Joe or Joel. I'm sorry. But the things that Joe or Joel was asking about, we're getting these reports, normally running them to some type of file. And then I showed you the one spreadsheet. That was actually a human taking all of those reports, taking about 4 hours a month once they're good at it, and bringing it in every month into that. There's some tabs behind it or some worksheets that hold all the data, and it's summarizing it up. So we bring in the transaction, then we have the Excel sum it up. So that was a manual-built dashboard that we do every month. Very powerful. The second dashboard that you saw is an actual BI out there, business intelligence. It's another system that goes on top of your system. It collects the data and allows you to use it. A good BI, BA. That one that I showed you today was Ernest & Associates. Gloria?
Next question is from Damian Enmel. He says, and this is going back to your last presentation, the first part one of the series. He says that in part one, you mentioned that you should never have more than 12 months worth of stock for item A. And he was wondering if there is a rule of thumb for that regarding B and C items.
Now, let me say, you shouldn't have 12 months of stock on any item. Okay, if I said A, it would be A, B, C, D. Now, that doesn't mean we want that much. I'm not out here advocating get up to 12 months. Where that number comes from, I'm a break even, maximize the bottom line. So anytime you're getting ready to work inventory that you have to try to get rid of it, there's a cost of getting rid of it, okay, whether it's calling the vendor, whether it's scrap, whatever it may be. So all we've done is there's a cost to leave that inventory on your shelf, cost to carry, and there's a cost to return. And at some point, rebuy it if it's a selling item. Even if it's a D, you'll have to rebuy it. All we've done is work this break-even analysis, and it comes out for most companies at 24% carrying cost, i.e., that item sits on the shelf for a year, it's cost 24 cents more. We've worked out a cost to return. It's somewhere around 10 to 13 months, Damien. So here's what we're saying. We're not striving to put 12 months on, but if it gets on there, draw a line in the sand, and anything you have more than 12 months, you need to get rid of. And what I had said 2 weeks ago, even if it's your number one A item, because people will come back and they've got 3 years of their A item because they got a good deal a year ago, and the purchasing manager or buyer or some executive at a meeting took advantage of it. It's still costing 24 cents on the dollar. You don't need 3 years of A items. You don't want more than a year, and we should probably have 2, 4, 6 weeks. It depends. We don't want more than a year's worth of D item, but if you've got it, you're going to try to eliminate. But just to bring that home, what I was saying is you don't want more than 12 months of anything, even your number one A item. Go ahead, Gloria.
Grant, We're right at the top of the hour. Time for one more question, and then we're going to wrap this up. Leanne
Very
Tully
good.
asks, she says, what
Who was
is
that
T
again?
and E? Leanne
Thank
Tully,
you.
Tully, asks, what is T and E on the scorecard shown?
T&E is turn and earn. And what it's doing is it's very similar to gross margin return on investment. And here's what's going on with turn and earn. A lot of us talk about turns. Hey, Grant, let's get 4 turns. Let's get 5 turns. Let's get 6 turns. And we keep wanting to drive these turns up. But there's a spot in there. D items, we can't get 6 turns. A items, we might be able to get 12 turns. So what it's saying is turns is not a true indicator of bottom line profitability because replenishment cost, transactional cost, and cost to carry aren't pulled into that. Remember, we want to minimize total cost to carry, cost to purchase, and cost of replenishment. So the T&E, what it's doing, Leanne, it's coming in and saying, what's my turns and what's my gross margin? So if I'm getting 5 turns and I'm getting a 25% gross margin, saying I'm getting a 125 T&E, and then you get down to your D items, I might be only getting 2 turns. I might have to get a 50% margin to just get 100 T&E. It's a very powerful tool to come back and say, we want to get at least a 100 T&E across any particular product line or vendor. And it will go in and start identifying not just turns, where you're not getting enough return, margin on that inventory to justify it. So it's bringing together margin, your dollars that you're making on it, and your turns. It's similar to GMROI, gross margin return on investment. There's slight variations of each other, and it's a great way to compare yourself to other folks in your industry as well. Turn and earn.
Grant, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with everyone here today. And as with most all of our webinars, this presentation will be available on our TUG website for future reference and posted to the appropriate forum board with the link for viewing on the next business day. Feel free to come back and review, share it with other colleagues, and really just avail that great bounty of content that we have. We'd like to invite those of you who are members of TUG to continue the discussion online in the members only forum. And also our next webinar will take place on Friday. We actually have 2 coming up. A+ Academy is going to be doing a virtual meeting for that ERP group of users. And also Central Data is going to be presenting a program on CD ship content. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on your inbox and watching the TUG forum boards where that registration link for each one of those programs has been posted. For those of you who are not yet members, why not? Visit www.theusergroup.org and join us today. You can see how much there is to be gleaned from your membership. And without any further ado, again, Grant, thanks. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. And as I say in Hollywood, that's a wrap. See you next time.